Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to cover the rest of the week, last week that was in pro wrestling. Sorry for the delay. I wanted to get this out yesterday, but, I wasn't feeling it. Feeling a little post-Christmas crash, so here I am doing it today. Now, what we are going to cover is MLW Holiday Bash, which they released the day before Christmas Eve, which was a nice early Christmas present, and AEW Collision. And also in this video, I'm going to give some predictions for 2024 in pro wrestling. So, stay tuned for that one. Sit back, relax, get yourself your favorite drink, and let's do this. So, of course, we start out with MLW Holiday Bash. I believe the last weekly show of the year. I think they got a pay-per-view coming up. And it starts out pretty white hot as it's a scramble match. Which means we got 6 participants and 1 fall to a finish. So, our participants, Akira, formerly of The Calling. We'll talk about that a little bit. Love Doug, who has been low-key one of my favorite things about MLW. His relationship with Becca, his rivalry with Brett Ryan Gosling, who is also in this match. And just the overall feeling this guy gives. It's interesting. Alec Price, who is in and out of MLW a couple times. Jay Bougie of the Bumaye Fight Club. And Nolo Kitano. Yeah, this match was pretty much a middleweight showcase match, which very, very good. A lot of good back and forth between these pair, including what I can only call a human centipede spot in which they all had each other in sleepers. Then Love Doug ducks down out of the sleeper he was receiving, crawls underneath everyone else, puts in his own sleeper. Yeah, that was pretty funny. So then, more back and forth, more middleweight action. Love Doug tries for Tiger Driver. Akira with the death penalty to pick up the victory. And then Akira, he's left in the ring on his own. Grabs a microphone, pretty much says, early this year, a storm came to MLW, and it plagued this company for months. The company feared us. They fell for our plan. But then our leader, Raven, left. So someone else took power. Ricky Shane Page, you're nothing more than a leech. And storms don't last forever. And I'm going to bring the end to The Calling. And as soon as that happened, The Calling themselves come out. First Cannonball comes out. Akira has his steel chair he was sitting on. Chair shot. I don't know why I made that noise. Chair shots to Cannonball. Then the other minions started getting in the ring. He fought them off for a little bit. But then Ricky Shane Page joins in. Just a big old brawl into a Raven Effect DDT. But then Akira with a low blow, which didn't see that coming, tried for a death penalty, but Ricky Shane Page runs off. So, looks like we're gonna get more Akira versus Ricky Shane Page. That should be fun. We then get Promotions Dorado, which is Selena De La Renta's group. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's Rocky Romero, Janai Kai, and Ricardo Rodriguez. I forget his non-WWE name, but you know who he is. He was Alberto Del Rio's personal ring announcer, which, you know, that's fine. They're backstage, they're talking. In comes Selena De La Renta. She's got her ring gear on. She compliments Rocky Romero for being a great trainer. Then she goes behind like a bar, kind of. Picks up a wool sack, which she's freaking out over. She says, "Who the heck put this here? Who put this here?" And then Rocky Romero's like, "Look, it's just a bag. It doesn't mean anything. I need to know who put this here." And then she leaves. What I think this is going to be is the return of, oh God, what the heck was his name? The original, like, GM for Lucha Underground, if you guys remember that. Then we get a nice return vignette for Sami Callihan, who's coming back to MLW from Impact. That should be interesting. I can't wait to see what he does. And then we get a triple threat match in the women's division. It's Tiara James takes on Notorious Mimi and Zeta. And yeah, this was a pretty interesting little matchup. Nothing super to write home about, but I enjoyed myself a lot. Mimi tried for a move on Zeta, who hits an unpretty her, which, you know, great move name to pick up the pretty easy victory. Like, matchup, I wish had a little bit more time, but I understand. Then we get a vignette for Hyper Massimo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who's going to challenge Janai Kai for the women's title at the next big show, which is Kings of Colosseum. Then we get a Azteca Lucha promotional video, which seems like they're making a comeback. And we get the Second Gear Crew's Matthew Justice taking on the World Titan Federation's Joshua Bishop. And this was a real nice clash of styles. Bishop, obviously the powerhouse. Matthew Justice, the daredevil. And yeah, really nice back and forth. At one point, Bishop went for a powerbomb. Justice got out of it, hits a spear, and then a razor's edge through a table. Your winner, Josh Bishop. Post-match, in which we were going to get an interview for Mr. Justice, Mr. Bishop, Mr. Justice attacks him on the ramp, and they brawl backstage. We'll get to that. Next, we got a solo promo from Selena De La Renta, who is kind of intimidating the cameraman, in which, okay, weird. Then she turns to address Ichiban, who says, "I'm going to teach you what I'm going to do to Ichiban." Continues to attack the cameraman. And then says, "Ichiban, I'm going to destroy you." In which, yeah, we're going to get to that one in a little bit. Next up, we got a grudge match, as it's Kevin Blackwood coming back from injury, taking on Tony Deppen. And overall, this match was fine. Like, there was plenty of interference from Crawford and McCoy. And yeah, ultimately that what leads to the victory for Tony Deppen. I do think eventually we're going to get a true singles match between these two, and we will see a legitimate winner. Next up, we get a backstage promo from Mr. Richard Holiday, who came back at one shot to join the World Titan Federation. Pretty much says, yeah, I've been away from a bit, and I met with other top companies in the world, and the only one who understands what this business about, it's about making money, and the World Titan Federation gets it. And Alex Kane, I don't have to answer to anything, and I'll see you at Kings of Colosseum. So that match is going to be very interesting. And we get a very, very surprising vignette as Matt Riddle is making his return to MLW. He was in there a bit for the relaunch back in, I want to say it was like 2017, 2018. Then he went to the WWE, and now he's back because he got released. So good to see him getting some good work in. Next up, we got a triple threat tag team match playa. As we got the main event, that's Jay Lyon and Midas Black. TJ Crawford and Griffin McCoy, that's Tony Deppin's goons. And we got Wasted Youth, in which I do forget their names. I do apologize. This match was tons of fun. Seeing McCoy and TJ Crawford getting their butts handed to them a bunch by these kids was definitely good to see. Wasted Youth, I'm definitely liking them more the more I see them. And after a shooting star press and a 450, your winners, Wasted Youth. So hopefully that means they get a tag title shot in the near future, but we'll see. Then we go back to a very interesting scene as Matthew Justice and Josh Bishop are brawling on the roof of the arena, which is insane. There just happens to be a table there. Justice sets Bishop on the table, climbs a ladder, climbs about halfway, big old elbow drop through the ladder. That's insane. We'll see where this rivalry goes. Hopefully it should be a fun one. Next up, we got Selena De La Renta making her MLW in-ring debut, taking on Ichiban. And I'm not surprised this really wasn't a match. Selena De La Renta, I don't think, wrestles. So ultimately, what happens? Bell rings. Selena De La Renta calls her goons in. Ichiban fights him off without really hitting him. And then Selena De La Renta pulls out her spray, whatever it is, right in the face of Ichiban. That causes a DQ. Post-match, the members of Promotions Dorado attack Ichiban. Security tries to break it up. And then Rocky Romero unmasks Ichiban. You don't do that to luchadors, man. So that's going to be interesting. Then Ichiban gets a little backup in Mascadora, who, runs off Promotions Dorado. So, going to be an interesting rivalry to see what's going forward. Next up, we got the tag team titles on the line as the Second Gear Crew, which is being represented by the one called Manders and Good Brother number 3, aka Mance Warner, to take on the Boom-I-A Fight Club, which is Alex Kane, our world champion, and Mr. Thomas. And yeah, this match was really, really great. I really enjoyed it. Manders goes for the Hawkeye Stampede, but that gets blocked right into a big old suplex from Alex Kane. Then we see coming to at least where the fans are It's Richard Holiday and Zeta. And they're just kind of out there. Alex Kane sees Richard Holiday, goes out the ring. They start jawing a bit. Alex Kane with a little slap to the side of the head. And Holiday throws his drink into Alex Kane's face. They brawl. Match gets thrown out. This brings out the rest of the World Titan Federation, who then attacks everyone. Matthew Justice comes out to make the save with a chair, but that numbers are too much for him. World Titan Federation then get a couple of chairs in and start just wailing on the Second Gear crew. And brawl ends with security breaking it up. So we'll see what happens between the Second Gear crew and the World Titan Federation going forward. Then we get Janai Kai kind of chilling backstage, which is very weird to see. This brings in Delmi Exo. They start talking a little trash to one another. They kind of brawl for a little bit, but then security breaks it up. But then something very interesting happens. The old red-topped lucha henchmen come in, hand Delmi an envelope. Not sure what it is, but as soon as Delmi read it, she kind of gave a little smirk. So, we'll see what happens there. We then go for our main event of MLW Holiday Rush. It is Jacob Fatu taking on Alexander Hammerstone. And I'm going to say this was easily their best match in the trilogy. And, yeah, they threw everything at each other. With Jacob Fatu hitting a moonsault, but that only gets a 2 count. Hammerstone with the Nightmare Pendulum, that only gets a 2. They keep rolling each other up. Fatu with some super kicks. A Samoan spike to honor his uncle, which, Umaga. And then a moonsault, and your winner, Jacob Fatu. Now, this is where things get a little interesting, because you have Mr. Saint Laurent chilling out ringside for this match, and instead of consoling his man, he walks out of the arena. And this leaves Hammer all on his own. Hammer rolls out of the ring, and he and Jacob Fatu embrace, which leads to an Alexander Hammerstone promo. Pretty much says, yeah, I'm not really supposed to be doing this. I could risk getting in trouble. And if anyone's been checking the dirt sheets and thinks they know what's going on with me, they really don't. I've felt a lot of frustration with MLW over the past little while. But tonight, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling fulfilled. And MLW took a chance on a kid nobody else wanted. I've had tryouts in WWE. I've had tryouts in Impact. And MLW, when they passed on me, Court Bauer reached out to me. And he signed me on the spot. And before my contract was coming up, Court Bauer upped my pay. And while things aren't always sunshine and rainbows, MLW took a kid and made him into a superstar. And tonight might be the last time I'm in an MLW ring. And while some would say I'm the one who helped build MLW, MLW is built with my DNA. And Hammerstone is built by MLW, which, nice consent. And tonight, starting tonight, this isn't about me anymore. It's about the men and women who are trying to put on a good show for you. MOW will continue. Thank you, Court Bauer. And then, he then puts down the mic, walks up the ramp, and then Court Bauer comes out from Gorilla with Court Bauer bowing down to Hammerstone, and they embrace. So, the meaning behind this is January 1st, Alexander Hammerstone is a free agent, which means he could potentially sign elsewhere. Now, where would that be? Who knows? We'll see. We then end on a very weird video promo from Matt Riddle. He says he's currently in Vegas on business, but he's excited to be going back to MLW. And on the road to gold, one man stands out. See you soon, Jacob Fatu. Which, Riddle versus Fatu. That's going to be a good one. Anyway, that was MLW Holiday Bash. We then roll right into AEW Collision, which was a super fun show. And it continued the Continental Classic Blue League, the last couple matches. And we start out with the Continental Classic, as it's Bryan Danielson taking on Claudio Castagnoli. We got the Blackpool Combat Club. And to say this match was everything I wanted and more, you darn Skippy. This match was excellent between two guys who honestly could wrestle a broom to a 5-star match. These two guys went after each other like they were old rivals. And then, as soon as near the end, Claudio tries for a Ricola bomb that gets blocked by Danielson with a Busaiku knee only for a 2 count. Claudio with a Ricola bomb try again. That gets blocked. Claudio with an uppercut, and as soon as that happens, ding 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 ding, ding, the bell rings. We have our first draw of the Continental Classic, in which maybe could have happened a couple other times, but, whatever. I do think it makes sense for these two guys to draw, considering they're so evenly matched. Then post-match, they shake hands. This is going to be really interesting to see, as Danielson moves on to the finals. We then get this very weird matchup for the Trios Tag Team titles, as Top Flight, that's Darius and Dante Martin, team with Action Andretti to take on the Acclaimed, that's Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Billy Gunn, who I still can't believe is wrestling. Overall, what was weird about this match is, honestly, it felt like the Acclaimed couldn't keep up. Like, Top Flight and Andretti were just flipping and flying around, and the Acclaimed kind of stalled somewhat. Like it wasn't a bad match per se, but it wasn't what I feel like these 6 are capable of. Anyway, Dante goes for a shooting star press that misses. Roll up, your winners, and still Trios champions, the Acclaimed. And then post-match, they have a little handshake. Again, very, very weird contest. Hopefully, if they do have another match down the line, they could do something a little more. Then we got a sort of on-location promo from Hook, who says, Garcia, if you want to fight me in my rule... No, it wasn't Garcia, it was Yuta, who pretty much says, if you want to fight me under my rules and for the title, let's do it. and let's do it in Long Island, New York at World's End. So we are getting an FTW title match at World's End this Saturday. Should be a fun one. Next up, bit of a hoss fight match as Brian Cage, the Machine, takes on Keith Lee. So it does look like we're getting more of a story for Keith Lee. He's going to run through the rest of the embassy before he finally gets his hands on Swerve, which, it's about time. Like, let's do something more with Keith Lee. Anyway, yeah, this matchup was absolutely fun. It was just a big old hoss fight from start to finish. And, yeah, Keith Lee wins with a Big Bang catastrophe. I know it's probably something different in AEW, but I don't remember what it is. So then, Keith Lee grabs a microphone, pretty much says, almost a year ago, someone took me out with this. So he has a cinder block in the ring. On Dynamite, I'm going to make my message clear. I got a house to tear down brick by brick. So it looks like we are going to get some interference on Swerve Strickland this Wednesday, coming a little later tonight. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Next up, we got an interview with Timeless Tony Storm, along with Mariah May and Luther. Actually, Luther's not there. I'm not sure where he is. So, Tony Storm gets asked, how do you feel about being saved by Mariah May? She's like, by whom? Yeah, that's me, Mariah May, who raises her hand. Oh, nice to meet you. And then May's like, yeah, we've met before. And then, anyway, that transitions to the interview asking about Mariah May's upcoming match. Pretty much saying, yeah, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I got my U.S. working papers in order, and my debut is coming. Then she turns to Tony Storm, asks, you got any advice? And then Tony Storm's like, oh, sorry, love, I wasn't listening. I didn't really hear you. Tony Storm then addresses Riho, her upcoming challenger for World's End, where she pretty much says, look, Riho, I obviously outgain you. I'm going to bottle you up, and I'm going to keep my title. And then we get a Christian Cage promo in which, ooh, this was savage. So, pretty much says, business, what happened in Montreal, I could explain myself, but she can do it for herself. So out comes Shania Wayne, Nick Wayne's mother, which, that's interesting. Then she addresses the crowd. Oh, you really want to boo me? You want to boo a mother? How dare you? So you want to know why I did what I did. I did it for Nick Wayne. I sat in the ring and I watched Adam Copeland attack my boy with a chair. And I protected my son. And the one person who really cares about Nick Wayne, it's not Copeland, it's Christian Cage. And then Cage takes the microphone back, pretty much says, and Miss Wayne now realizes what I know. Copeland, you're a piece of shit. And you were willing to take the dream about from Nick Wayne. And if anyone should have any empathy about losing their father, it's you. We need to work on your anger issues, because that cost you big time in Montreal. And that night I scored in 2 ways, keeping my title and with my family is now complete. Now I addressed your challenge. While I do accept your challenge, you are clearly no challenge to me. I am levels above everyone else, and at World's End, I'm going to put you out for the last time. Christian Cage is legitimately one of the best dudes on the roster right now. He's got it all, man. And that matchup should be a lot of fun. We then go backstage to a Big Bill and Ricky Starks interview. Ricky Starks addresses Kenny Omega having diverticulitis, in which Big Bill remarks, "Oh, that sounds made up." And then Starks continues, "Clearly you're afraid to face us. You don't have the guts to face us. And instead of defending these titles at World's End, we're going to go party in my..." But before he continue, Chris Jericho walks in and pretty much says, "Look, the Golden Jets are obviously out, but I still got my tag team title shot, so I'm going to find myself a partner, and I'm going to take those titles away from you." So, that's going to be an interesting thing to see. We'll see who Chris Jericho picks as his partner. Next up, we got the next matchup in the Continental Classic is Daniel Garcia, who is at Goose Egg points, takes on Brody King, who was kind of a surprise in this tournament. He did absolutely well. This match was kind of really by the numbers. Like, you had the Monster doing his thing. Garcia fought back. It does seem like Daniel Garcia is going to be turning babyface anytime soon. Brody King with a clothesline and then a bonsai drop, only for a 2 count. Goes for a powerbomb, but that gets blocked into a roll-up. And the winner, Daniel Garcia, getting his first points of the tournament. Kind of a too little too late situation, but I'm definitely okay with that. But then, as Garcia is celebrating, lights go out, lights come back on. The rest of the House of Black, so that's Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black, are holding Garcia to let Brody King get some shots in. Matt Menard comes in. He tries to help. And then they both get beat down by the House of Black. Then out comes FTR to make the save. House of Black bail out of the ring. FTR then get on the microphone. Pretty much say, "Yeah, I'm done with your magic tricks. If you want me in your family, then we're going to fight for it." So in the future, we're going to get FTR versus the House of Black. And everybody here wants it. So, matchup wasn't great, but definitely the post-match stuff is going to be interesting. We'll see if FTR are actually going to be, teaming with Daniel Garcia. I guess we'll see. Next up, we got a tag team match playa as Julia Hart takes on Sky Black, now that she's embraced her dark side, to take on Abaddon and the returning from injury Thunder Rosa. And for a good portion of this match, this was an Abaddon beatdown. Thunder Rosa earlier on didn't really come into the ring, but then eventually she got the tag, ran on both of her opponents for a while, and then hits a Tijuana bomb for her to pick up the win for her and her partner. It's definitely really great to have Thunder Rosa back. Hopefully she gets something interesting to do somewhere down the line. And Fight Alamo, our main event for Collision, as it's the final match in the Blue League of the Continental Classic, as Eddie Kingston takes on Andrade El Idolo. And woo, boy, this match was a lot of fun. A lot of good back and forth, a lot of counters to big moves. By the end, Andrade has Eddie Kingston in the figure 8, but then Eddie gets out of it, fights out of it even. Eventually, Andrade gets the figure 8 back in, Kingston in the ropes. As soon as he gets up, he hits a Hurricane and a Brainbuster to pick up the win and move to the finale with Bryan Danielson, who then comes out, gets in the ring, and they have a big old stare down. Ooh, that match was a lot of fun. I do wish it was given a little tiny bit more time, but overall, it was a fun match, and now we got our two finals set, semi-finals set for the Gold and Blue League for the Continental Classic. And it's gonna be interesting. Alright, that is it for my review for these shows. We now roll into something a bit interesting, as I'm gonna predict ultimately what's gonna happen in certain pro wrestling promotions. I'm not gonna do this for all of them because we'd be here for hours, but I'm gonna start with Europe. So I kind of conglomerated, pretty much the UK and everyone over there overseas. This is a bit of a long shot. I'm going to say WCPW returns. If you don't remember WCPW, it was a promotion run by YouTubers from England. And it was very, very successful. It was on at like 1 o'clock on Saturdays, which was a lot of fun. Included a lot of regular names like Walter, aka Gunther, Pete Dunne, Butch, Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, etc., etc. And yeah, it was a fun promotion. And I know it's a long shot, but I kind of miss WCPW. Now I'm going to talk about the next biggest UK indie. I'm going to talk about RevPro. And while right now they have a working relationship with AEW, I think they're going to extend that to TNA. And I know, low TNA. I know. But I feel like influx of talent like that would be fun. Maybe see Michael Oku in front of more eyes. And if you haven't seen Michael Oku, go look for him. He's awesome. Alright, so we're going to get away from Europe. We are now going to Japan. As I will first predict All Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm going to say, with All Japan kind of rebuilding on their success, they now have a working relationship with other Japanese promotions. I think I'm going to they're going to get more eyes on their product, including more eyes from us in America. So we'll see what happens there. We now go to Pro Wrestling Noah. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Noah introduces a true women's division. Now, Noah has had their share of women's matches, but they don't have a true women's division like, say, New Japan does. So, I think we're going to see Pro Wrestling Noah do something kind of interesting there. My next prediction for Noah, I think they're going to extend to a working relationship with another U.S. promotion. Now, like I said, for All Japan, Noah is now in a working relationship with the other Japanese promotions in Japan. So I think they're going to extend that to someone in the U.S. Now, I don't know if it's going to be someone huge like a AEW, but I think like a TNA or an MLW would be a great spot for some Noah talent. And yeah, I'm going to predict. Now move on to Stardom, which should be a fun one. I'm going to say, like Noah, they're going to extend their working relationships with someone, a promotion in the US. And then we're going to see a Stardom title defense in the US. Now, I know we've had strong women's title matches in the US before, but I think we're going to get a Stardom title match somewhere down the line. So, that could be fun. Next up, we're going to move to the big boy in Japan, and it's New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm going to say this, I think they're going to re-sign Okada. And as much as I would like to see him in an AEW or a WWE situation, I think he's going to stay with New Japan and eventually retire with them. And then ultimately become a trainer over there. And next, we're going to see now with, the whole Japanese promotions working together. I think we're going to get a Noah title match in New Japan. I don't think it's going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. Maybe it'll be at the night after show, which could be fun. So, yeah, that's my coverage of Japan. We now move to Mexico. And we go to CMLL, who is pretty much the oldest promotion in the world, which is honestly crazy to think of. I'm going to say we're going to see more influence in the US. Like, I think we're going to... Obviously, we're seeing some CMLL talent in AEW and MLW. But I think we're going to see some CMLL specific shows in the US, which I think could be a lot of fun. And then because of more influence in the US, they're going to introduce a United States title, much like New Japan did. Although maybe it'll be like the international title or something. Either way, I think that's going to be fun. We now move to AAA, which is still a very fun promotion. So what I have here is I think they're going to increase working relationship with the UK. Whether that means, RevPro, someone over there. I'm not 100% sure. But then I think they are going to shut down some alliances in the US. And what I mean is, right now, it does seem like AEW is working more with CMLL. So I think AAA are going to pull out of that relationship. Maybe focus more on the TNA relationship. And don't worry, we'll get to TNA. So that is it for the international promotions I am going to be covering. Now we move into the United States. And we start with the National Wrestling Alliance. And yes, I still watch the NWA. It's still fun to me. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say they sign a TV deal in the near future. Now, the rumor was they were going to sign with the CW before NXT picked them up. So I think we're going to see someone pick up NWA. I'm not 100% sure who, though. My next prediction for the NWA, The Pope returns. If you don't remember him, that's D'Angelo Dinero, a.k.a. Elijah Burke. Very interesting talent. And he did do some work early on in the NWA, but now he's been really MIA, which is sad because I like watching Pope. So I think he's going to make a comeback. We now move over to MLW, which is another entertaining place to watch. I'm going to say they're going to make an upgrade. They're going to book some bigger venues. Maybe not like stadium size or arena size, but something bigger than what they're working with. And I'm going to say they're going to enter a working relationship with TNA. And, yeah, I think that could be a fun one. Maybe mix divisions a little bit. I think that could be fun. Next, that brings us to TNA Wrestling. And I think they're going to bring back something I've really been a fan of. And that is the World X Cup. Now, what that means is they take certain people from around the world. They create teams with them. The team with the most points at the end wins. So it's a great big tournament. I've been watching the 2007 version, and it's a whole lot of fun. I do hope TNA brings back the World X Cup, because that was a great thing. And now this might be a little short in the dark, but I'm going to say TNA is the one who signs Dolph Ziggler. Now, Dolph, currently free agent. A lot of talks of him going to AEW to join up with his brother, Ryan Nemeth. Which I could definitely see. But I do also think he would be a better fit in a TNA. Anyway, we then move on to AEW. And I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say they're going to sign Drew McIntyre. Now, Drew's contract ends at some point in 2024. I'm not 100% where. And as of right now, there hasn't been anything on him re-signing with WWE. So I think he's going to be going to AEW. And this one's for my lads who are like wishing for AEW's demise. I think they're going to be sticking with Warner Brothers Discovery. And they're going to sign a brand new TV deal. Which, it's going to be fun. Now, this last thing. I'm going to cover the World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE. And there's one prediction, might give me a little hate. I'm going to say Cody Rhodes does not finish his story at WrestleMania. Now, do I think Cody Rhodes is pretty much ready to finish his story? Absolutely. However, there is another side with me thinking, Roman Reigns could continue this reign and surpass Hulk Hogan's reign. Which, I don't know, WWE have been really kind of obsessing with records like that lately. Especially with Gunther beating the Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental title record. So I'm going to say, at WrestleMania, we're going to see Roman versus someone else who won the Rumble. Whether that be The Rock or whoever else. And then we'll see maybe Seth versus Cody, I guess. Although I personally have Gunther winning the Rumble, challenging in Seth, and then Cody maybe goes after the Intercontinental title. I don't know. It's very, very interesting. Do I honestly believe this? Not really. I think it's time for Cody to finish his story and dethrone Roman. But if they really want, WWE really wants an alternate, I don't think this is a bad idea. Now, this next prediction is me just having a little bit of fun. I think WWE finally introduces a 6-man tag team title. Now, I say that because we've had more than a few 6-man tags form in the last, while. And now with the regular tag team titles unified, maybe introducing something new would be a bit more interesting than just, separating the two titles. So that's just me. Yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And now on Monday, I obviously haven't been covering any of the wrestling for this week. Raw was on Christmas Day, so I was away, and plus it was a best of. NWA was a filler episode, which was very weird. AEW has their thing going tonight with Dynamite. Impact, another best of. MLW, I don't think is having a regular show this week. I could be wrong. And then Friday, SmackDown is going to be another best of. And I'm not sure what's going on with Rampage. I don't know if there's a Rampage this week. There is no Collision this week because we have AEW doing World's End, which is in pretty much my side yard in the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. So, should be an interesting week. So, instead of covering wrestling on Monday next week, I think what I'm going to do is go back to another love I haven't been paying attention to for a while. And that's the MCU. And I am going to talk about my feelings of the overall phases and movies and TV that have happened. I'm not going to go, show by show, but I'm going to talk about it. So, until then, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.